wabarakatuh, and very good afternoon. Thank to Prof. Izhar for inviting MCMC and myself to represent. Now, you've heard a lot from Mustafa. Okay, Mus and I go a long way back. Okay, when I used to be very involved in the CMCF days. Okay, and to the question that what does CMCF do? The code was actually developed by the industry. I had the opportunity and the honor to lead a chapter on the internet, okay, code. Okay. And I think Dr. Syed was from the faculty here who also contributed there. Now, for the next, I guess, half an hour or so, let me just quickly take you through some things. Okay. Now, what does this slide show? It's us today, right? Okay, we're so connected. In fact, we're hyper connected. Okay, the only thing that's not there is a chip in our body. Okay, whereby we no longer need to carry phones in our pockets or our handbags, but we can just probably touch a chip attached to our body and we can talk to one another. In 1998, when the government spoke about, or rather 1996, when the government spoke about the multimedia super corridor, none of us actually, envisaged this. Okay? To be really honest, when I came in 1996, I just got back from my postgraduate, okay, and suddenly I saw this thing called multimedia super corridor. The only thing of communication that I knew then was a simple phone that you just dig up and you start punching numbers and you talk to the other person on the line. You want to send a document, you look for a fax machine that's probably located at some corner of the office, okay? And that's it. And presentations are not as chunky as this, okay? And we used to have, what do you call those transparencies that you have, okay? Or the more, literate, media literate guys or IT literate guys would have this carousel with slides that hopefully you don't put it upside down. Okay, those were the days. Now, to run through 20 years, okay, in 1998, you only had internet that had a speed of 64 kilobits per second. Probably for some of you, you were still children at that point in time. Okay? And whenever you click in, you've got to wait for the whirring sound. And then you get yourself connected, right? And sometimes it doesn't get connected. And there were only two service providers there. Jare, and then there was TMNet. Okay. Fast forward in 2002, suddenly we have this thing called broadband. Okay. And suddenly we have this product called Streamix. Wow! 384 kilobits per second. That's a huge jump, right? And everybody said, where's the 1 meg? 1 year down the road, there was a story of 1 meg. And then we all had our handphones. And today, if you don't have 100 meg, you will say, why is the service provider giving me 100 meg? Well, honestly, may I ask you, what do you want to do with 100 meg? It's a nice to have. Okay? At 20 meg, you can watch the streaming quite happily at home. Okay? Now, what does this tell us? Because we are so connected, internet is now so pervasive, we now have a major problem. Okay. If before, okay, the prof and I probably would remember this when we were in school, we all had radios. Okay, AM, FM was unheard of. Okay, you sit down and you listen to national radio. And at that point in time, it was a one-way communication. Okay, you had a DJ communicating to you. Okay, and then came TV. That was, I think, in the early 60s, right, bro? And it was black and white. Yay, TV, man. One channel. Okay. Then from TV, we moved on. We were still TV. For a long while, we were stuck in that space of TV reaching out to us. still one-way traffic. We had color TV in the early 80s. Okay? That was when TV3 was first introduced into the market. But suddenly, as we reach the millennial, with internet being highly available, suddenly we have this thing called Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, okay? WhatsApp, Telegram, name it. There's so many applications out there. What does it do? It suddenly turned the whole dynamics of communication from one person or top down. Now we are now communicating with each other. Okay? And you are able to reach by the millions in a split of a second. You don't believe me? You try and ask, do a bit of test, reaching out to your friends on Facebook and ask them to send out something, and let's see by end of the day how many people will have read it. So, what has happened? Technology today is become more disruptive. Okay? We now become active producers. So hopefully you have more students abroad. Everybody wants to be a communicator. Okay? People will make comments. Remember 3 years ago, we had the unfortunate tragedy of MH370. Okay? If you read the papers, you read the online media, everybody became an aviation expert. Right? Semua tahu. Oh, and you have all these speculative theories. And speculation, it's sexy. And it's sexy, it gets viral. And it makes it very difficult to then figure out what is the truth. Okay? So, today you have a choice. If you want to read, you read. Because I'm quite sure many of you, let me just ask you this question. Who wakes up in the morning and doesn't grab his or her phone? Hands up. No one, see? So everybody has a habit of grabbing your handphone for whatever reason, okay? Either you want to watch, either to switch off your alarm, but chances are you're going to look at who sent me a message last night. Okay? And sometimes you get all these funny messages. You actually decide whether you want to read it, or you want to extend it to the next friend. Okay? So you have the right to choose. Right? But many of us choose to send it out without even checking whether that's true. So because of that disruptive technology today, we are now in a situation whereby, are we well trained to manage that technology? Are we well trained to manage the impact of that technology? And when they say, the pen is mightier than the sword, and this can't be, any more real to me. Okay? When I was in school, to me the sword was mightier than the pen. So what happens is that you whack people, you see? You don't write to hurt people. Today you write to hurt people. We did a survey, okay, in 2016. And we said, what do Malaysians actually do? 50% of people actually, we're very passive, we wait for something to happen. Okay? Something that comes to us from the net, okay? Then, another 50%, everybody had 10 choices, okay? And when you add up, 47% or rather 50% more says, I like lying in bed, chilling out in bed. Okay. 28% says they like to watch TV. Very few actually want to spend time with the family, only 20%. Okay. But the most telling was, even 6% of people in Malaysia use internet while they're in the bathroom. Okay? I was being nice by putting a shower, okay, and not somebody sitting on the throne. Okay? Which means, wherever we go, people will use internet. And internet is just not a technology by itself. it is camouflaged by content. And the kind of content that goes in there will determine how we behave eventually. Because of internet, will it stop? I don't think so. Okay. It will go on and on. We've heard about 3G, 4G, now we hear about 5G. Everywhere in the world today, nations are actually investing in fiber. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that the story that you watch in movies, where people are so connected, everything can be found on the net, it is going to be very real, probably in your lifetime. So I'm sure many of you would have heard things called Internet of Things. Anybody haven't heard of it? So the Internet of Things is going to create a lot more interaction between man and machine, and to some extent even machine to machine. People today talk also about a nation is not going to be a developed nation if it's not a smart and connected nation. Imagine a scenario if you were to walk down the street. Okay? Today, if we walk down the street and we want to cross, what do? We wait at the traffic light, provided none of you like to do jaywalking. Okay? You see by the traffic light, you then press the button, hoping for the traffic light to then turn red. Right? Many of us do that all the time, right? Okay. And if it turns red, we walk across. With Internet of Things, what will happen is that in the future, at the very traffic light, there will be sensors that can detect someone waiting to cross the road. And there's another set of sensors that will also detect us as we reach the other side of the road. And those sensors are then connected to the traffic light to basically instruct the traffic light to turn from green to red as we cross, and from red to green as we complete our crossing. You think it's far-fetched? Try going to a city in China called Qingdao. Okay? I saw that for myself. Okay? So things will happen. Okay? Who would have thought that you can pay today everything using your handphone? Alipay is doing that. WeChat is doing that. I was in China for a week, hosted by someone, and I was just astounded to see this guy taking me around, and he just kept flipping out his handphone. Okay? So I asked him, I said, why do you keep taking out your handphone all the time? He says, oh, this is my wallet. He paid everything using the wallet. In fact, he even paid for trinkets at a small shop by the key, okay, using the handphone. Which means the pervasiveness of e-commerce, or it's just humongous in China, and therefore they can then extend out. That is why Alipay is here today. Any of you go to Starbucks? Who doesn't go to Starbucks? Such a lie, okay. Only one guy. You guys are lying, okay? Everybody goes to Starbucks, okay? You don't? Okay, tea light, alright. Cheaper, huh? Yeah, well done. Have you seen at the counter, there's this blue and white logo called Alipay? Right? They are here. So which means e-commerce, IoT, connected, it will happen. Next thing that will happen is going to be artificial intelligence and augmented reality. How many of you read the news 2 days ago about a guy from Microsoft by the name of Saqib Sheikh? None of you? Wah, sedih lah you anak. This guy, I had the opportunity to have dinner with him last week. Okay, this guy is actually blind, okay? But he's a genius with computers. And because of his blindness and his intelligence with computers, he actually created a program. I think it's called iSeen. What it does is that he loads the app into his handphone, okay? He points it to you, and the phone communicates to him, telling there is a young lady of 35 standing in front of me. She looks happy. Okay, and he also has a spectacles that he wears to help him walk around, and just by swiping the spectacles, he's actually able to see what's in front of him. Imagine, okay? Effectively, Braille is going to be useless because it takes up a menu, he swipes his spectacles, and the menu, basically the phone that's connected to the specs will then read out the menu to him. And he says, okay, for my starters, I would like this. For my main course, I would like this. Because he actually can see the menu. What's behind that? That is artificial intelligence plus big data. Okay? It collates all this information and helps build something that's of use. Now, that is the good stuff of content. Augmented reality or virtual reality. How many of you play games? All the young guys, I'm sure you play games, right? Game Tap Auto and whatever else. And what attracts you to the games today? They actually, look very, very real. You can immerse yourself in it. I think recently I came across a new toy being promoted by, was it Sony or is it Panasonic? I can't remember which company it was. But what it has is that it offers a virtual reality, application. So what it did was, what you have to do is, you wear those goggles specs, okay, and you can actually take a ride, okay, as if you're taking a roller coaster ride. And I was just standing behind this guy who was trying it. There was nothing in front there, okay? But we could see on the screen, but he couldn't see. Everything was within the goggles. And he was going this way, that way, they go, He was so real for him. Okay? Why I'm telling you all that? Those are the good stuff. It can also be used for very bad stuff. You all watch Mission Impossible, right? Okay, they all tell you how to steal using virtual reality. Trust me, the thief today isn't going to be that stupid. So with all those stuff and all those media, two things can happen. Okay? In life, there's always black or white. Of course, there's sometimes gray in between. You can use internet and the media today to do good things. You can help reduce poverty. You can help, make a very good global village, a global citizen. Or you can also take the low road. You can create hate. Mind you, you just write something and you pass on, the next guy will pass it on, and next thing you know, there'll be 10 guys against him. All because somebody said, that guy did this. And we all like to do that, right? But something so innocuous can actually become very damaging. Cyberbullying. Children today, when I was in school, if you want to get bullied, you get bullied in the schoolyard. Okay? I went to a boarding school. In this boarding school, the place where we whack guys will be in the squash court. Okay? But today you don't need that. You have internet to do that. Okay? And there are many, many things that could happen. So it's very, very important for people to understand what the media today provides, how to then use it rightly. Now, from a regulator standpoint, we actually have a dilemma. Everybody wants to use this. Everybody thinks it is their right to use. Okay? Moose shared with you the content code. Did you mention anything about the MSC Bill of Guarantees?
Yeah.
So the Bill of Guarantees says, oh, internet is not censored. Okay? No censorship on internet. Yay! That was what we thought at that point in time. But our forefathers was wise enough to also create an act called the Communications and Multimedia Act. So within the act, there are rules to the game, or what you can and cannot do, actually. As a result of that, within the content space, you've got the content code. Imagine today, they say, you've got the content code, but the internet cannot be censored. Therefore, I can write how I please, what I want to write. It's my right to write. I have the freedom of speech. My question to you is, you may have the freedom of speech, but do you have the freedom to destroy? You have to ask that question. Okay? Because, remember the incident in Loyat Plaza a couple of years back? Okay? Yeah, the guy got beaten up and all that. But the news that went around was there was a bloodbath there. And everybody reacted because the story was actually crafted in such a way as if it was an ethnic problem. Okay? And people were all coming down to the ground, itching for a fight. I don't think we want that for our country. Or, elections just around the corner, right? Trust me, you will see all this news about, fake voters, ghost voters, yada yada yada. So, these are the kind of news that no one, not even the government, can stop, because the power is in your hand. All you have to do is snap a photo or download a photo. You can edit it yourself, all within the handphone. Bang, you send it out to the next guy. And if you have got a following, then it will be viral. And next thing you know, somebody will knock on your door. People like me will knock on your door. Okay? Because these are the things that we think that it is wrong for people to behave. But it's not easy. I'm sure you've seen this nice couple called Alvin and Vivian, nations who studied in Singapore. Okay. They said it was right for them to post what they thought was right, with no thought that it might actually impact negatively on readers. So people are pretty upset with them. I'm quite sure if many of you are Muslims, okay, you won't take this too kindly, would you? Okay? I mean, who would ever think that bak kut teh is halal? Come on, guys. But we live in a very tolerant society, respecting each other, and suddenly you have someone who says, it's my freedom to post. It's my freedom of speech. It's just a joke. Is it right? Should the government take action? Because don't forget, there's the Communications and Multimedia Act that's already in place since 1998. Another one. This is a graphic artist who decided that it was right for him to do pornographic cartoons. Some people will say, to some, pornography is art. To some, pornography is pornography. Okay, pornography is smart. The law is quite clear about it. And therefore, he was charged and the court found him guilty of the misdemeanor and was then fined. And we've got cases like this coming all the time. In fact, as of this year, come October, we have slightly more than 1,700 odd complaints with regards to content, okay? Either being fake, being being offending, and stuff like that. Okay? And we charged them in court for many of them. In fact, from 2015 to 2016, there have been 71 cases that have been completed in the courts. Okay? At the moment, we've got 155 more cases that's still being brought through the court process. Another one. Remember Charlie Hebdo? Charlie Hebdo, sorry. Okay. This guy said it's all right for him to write what he wrote, but it got the world all riled up because the content belittled another person's religion. Okay? So, how do we protect? Do we protect the greater good, or do we protect the right of an individual? It's a tough question, you know. But for governments, they are quite clear. The laws are always meant to protect the greater good, not the individual. Okay? Because you try to protect an individual, the implication is that that could cause destruction to the society. I'm quite sure many of us don't want to live in a society where hate is just prevalent and it's a norm. Okay? We want to have a society that looks at each other with respect, with care, and we can all live our life, okay, to the fullest ability that we could. Okay. So at MCMC, what we do is that we've got our governance allows us to implement the Communications and Multimedia Act, okay, where we work with the industry. So for content, right from day one, when the Act came into play, the aspiration is let's have a society that can self-regulate. What it means is that MCMC should be closed down and everybody can self-regulate. Unfortunately, 20 years down the road, we're still not there, right, Moose? Okay? Moose showed that Unilever versus L'Oreal, right? Okay? Before that, Unilever fought with a small-time company called Mukmin. Remember the toothpaste, right? Colgate versus Mukmin. Okay? And the issue was very simple. Mukmin said their toothpaste was halal, and Colgate says, you know, it is naturally halal anyway because the ingredients were. And Moose showed another same story. Again, it's the industry competing against each other for claims. And for that, for the landing of that Colgate case, today, if you all notice, every Colgate product out there has a halal shop, right? Because the landing was, we said, okay, if you agree it's halal, what's stopping you from having the same logo, you know, printed onto your products? That was the landing, okay? And it was 2 meetings, right? We had, and it was clear. Because I was part of the complaints bureau before I joined MCMC, many years back. And the cost of doing this self-regulation is really good because it saves money. We've had people flying in from Mexico one day. It was an argument between Caltex, okay, and was with Shell, right? And suddenly I saw all these white men coming into the meeting. I was asking, why are these guys here? I said, I don't know. So then after all that, we asked them, said, why are you flying all your big guns here? Oh, it's cheaper. Imagine they flew people all the way from Mexico to Malaysia simply to seek the mediation case because they said it was cheaper. Okay, which means if they had gone to court, it could cost millions. So we thought, wow, self-regulation really worked, okay? But 10 years fast forward, you're still there. You're not there yet, okay? So as much as we have the instruments, we as society, we're still not there yet. And therefore, there's still a need to provide some kind of enforcements as much as creating awareness. Okay? While we can do all that infrastructure stuff, I think the biggest challenge that we all have today is user behavior. Okay? Today I was late just now because I was at the ASEAN Online Child Protection a conference. And one of the questions asked was this: we've got all this, what is the government doing? Guys, you've got children and you expect the government to take care of their children as they surf the net? What are you doing as parents? You see, that's a behavior thing, not my problem. Children sent to school, teacher's problem. Children, as they grow up, government's problem. But where's the parent? Okay? So we need to educate the parents, we need to educate the users that everything starts and begins with you, not someone else. And that's hugely a problem. Okay? MCMC, we do a lot of awareness campaign. We have got this campaign called Klik Dengan Bijak. We've been doing that since 2012. We're still doing it. Every year we've got a lot of activities, and we normally reach to the tune of about 1.5 million people as we go around the country. But it's still a drop in the ocean. Okay? And we continue to have problems because people have still not, adopted good behavior. To me, it's very simple. If you talk about media literacy, you just need to be governed by simple rules. We all know, for Malaysians, we all know Rukun Negara, right? The 5 principles. It worked for me when I was in Standard 3. Okay, that was when Rukun Negara first came out. And I think as long as we adhere to this, it is universal. It's not about, it's a Muslim thing, it's a Christian thing, it's a universal rule. As Malaysians, if we adhere to that, irrespective of technology, because technology is how we use it, God willing, we should be okay, right? So, from a regulatory standpoint, it's never going to be easy to manage behavior, but we try, and we hope the public at large, okay, and through you guys, as you reach out to friends, to people, you will then inculcate the right behavior. And with the right behavior, you have the right impact. And at the end of the day, the impact has got to be a societal impact. Okay? So let me just stop here, okay? I guess feel free to ask questions. Thank you very much. Any questions? Or everybody's going for tea now? Yeah.
On the coming general elections, such a tremendous factor will come in. What do MCMC anticipate that?
What would do you anticipate with the coming elections? Number one, there'll be a lot of fake news. Okay. 2, there'll be a lot of content that will be put out there to belittle the next person. Okay. We can take a very hard stance by throwing the book, okay, to everyone who contravenes the law. The police will not be very happy, okay, because everybody will be caught in that situation. So what we will take is that we'll continue to create awareness, okay? Unless it is a serious misdemeanor, then action will be taken upon them. It's kind of like taking the hands off the brake for a while. Because you're looking at what? 222 parliamentary seats, okay? Plus another something like about close to 600 state, they call it the Ahli Dewan Negeri, which is the state seats, okay? So you look at big numbers, okay? And when people go into politics, that 2 weeks of canvassing is not exactly 2 weeks. They are already starting to canvass even now, okay? So what we have to do is that we anticipate, but we'll just have to monitor. Okay? But we won't be doing a lot of prosecution unless they really go against the rule of law. You just have to live his life. Okay. Any other questions?
So I have one.
Yeah.
If you can help us to understand a bit. I think recently in an article by the Central Bar, they have their Info IT committee. I think they published one. They say the FCMC should look into the data breach issue rather than all these WhatsApp or Facebook cases. Your comment?
Yeah. Let me ask you this question first, okay? You have the application called Saya Kena Hack, right? That's the application, right? You punch a number, which is your IC, to check whether has your data been breached? Then it comes out to tell you, yes, it's been breached. Have you ever wondered, how did that application check onto a database? Presumably, they went into some database, right? Now, my next question is, did they get permission to get into the database? Probably not, right? Therefore, yes, if you say MCMC blocked the application and therefore the Bar Council says MCMC is wrong. But as a lawyer, okay, I'm not a lawyer, I'm a lawyer buruk lah. As a lawyer, you need to see the full context, right? And if that person is actually accessing an illegal data, therefore, isn't he doing something illegal? He is, right? Because if you were to buy something because it's a stolen product and you say, yay, cheap, right? You can be held as being party too. That is the off, not an online situation. So most in that situation, actually I was the one who, asked them to block, and I said, the stance is they access content illegally and we don't know, and by allowing them to continue to provide that service, we are allowing further intrusion into data that is illegal. Okay? And that's the only reason. I mean, Keith Rosario, the guy who did the app, he may have meant well, okay? That, look, it's my right to check whether I have been breached. But the point is, he did not have an arrangement with the actual data owners whether he could check into that system or not. Okay, so that was, but we did not want to have a media debate with the bar, and I just let them be, okay? But that was our stance at MCMC. Okay? Alright guys, if there's nothing else, thank you very much. Okay?